Okay, today we're going to complete our flipped notes over latitude and longitude, which we have talked about briefly, but we're going to talk about a little more in depth today. We're going to start with hemispheres. We talked about the prime meridian and we've talked about the equator. The equator is the 0 degrees latitude line that divides the earth in half. The top half of the earth is called the northern hemisphere. The bottom half is the southern hemisphere. We also talked about the prime meridian, which is our 0 degrees longitude line, which divides the earth into the western hemisphere and the eastern hemisphere. So again, the world is split by two lines. The equator divides the northern hemisphere from the southern hemisphere. The prime meridian divides the eastern hemisphere from the western hemisphere. Positions are given in reference to the equator and the prime meridian. North America is in the northern hemisphere because it is north of the equator. The North America is in the western hemisphere because it is west of the prime meridian. Let's go back before we move on to latitude and longitude. What two hemispheres is North America in? Please write it in the box provided below. Please turn your notes over to the back. On many maps and globes, you can see lines that crisscross with numbers by them. We have learned that those lines are called latitude and longitude lines. These lines and numbers are part of a grid system that allows us to describe the absolute location of any place. Again, I'd like to point out, here we have 0 degrees latitude, which is our equator. Lines running east and west around the earth are called lines of latitude, also called parallels because parallel lines do not touch each other. These lines use degrees to measure the distance north and south of the equator. Look at the globe on the right. Put your finger on the equator at 0 degrees. On this globe, the next line of latitude south is 15 degrees south. Then 30 degrees south, 45 degrees south, and so on. 90 degrees south is the farthest south you can go. 90 degrees south is also the South Pole. What is the farthest north you can go? Please write the degrees and the direction that goes with it, as well as what pole. Okay, write that in the box provided below the globe. On a map or globe, the lines running north and south from pole to pole are called lines of longitude. Remember, longitude, long, going from top to bottom, north to south. These lines are also called meridians. Lines of longitude measure the distance east and west of the prime meridian, which is 0 degrees. Prime meridian is 0 degrees longitude. You're either going to measure west or you can measure to the east of the prime meridian. Look at the globe on the left. Put your finger on the prime meridian at 0 degrees. On this globe, the next line of longitude east is 15 degrees east. The first line of longitude west is 15 degrees west. Unlike lines of longitude eventually touch. Notice how the lines come together at the north and the south pole. I would like for you to take a close look at the globe to the left and identify what 3 continents the prime meridian passes through. What 3 continents does the prime meridian pass through? Together, lines of latitude and longitude form a grid called the coordinate system. Together, the latitude and longitude makes up a place's coordinates. For example, everyone find Atlanta, which is the capital of Georgia. In order to measure the latitude and longitude, you would first want to find the equator. Okay? Equator is going disregard that. The equator is not on this map. It's not visible on this map. So you'll just use the coordinates. They've already labeled them north or west for you, so you don't have to use the equator as your guide. So let's look at Atlanta. It's about 34 degrees north, not quite exactly on the line, but it's very close, and 84 degrees west. Okay, that's the line that runs this way, north to south. So you write your coordinates, latitude first, then longitude. Latitude will always be measured north or south. Longitude always would have a measure of east or west. I would like for you now to find the coordinates of the following cities: Savannah, latitude and longitude, which is about right here. And Valdosta, right here. Hey, any questions that you have, please make sure to make note of those on your notes, and we will discuss those in class when this assignment is due. Have a great evening.